Well, Arsenal dropping points for the first time this season. Their third game against Fulham yesterday. It ended 2-2 at the Emirates. A lot to digest from it, I think, when you go behind again like they did, which Arsenal are unfortunately becoming sort of known for, getting a reputation of conceding early goals. There was a tweet I saw about the last three home games or something like that we had conceded within the first 1 minute or 2 minutes or something. I mean, you look back to the Bournemouth game, obviously Fulham, um, a misplaced pass by Saka that led to sort of awkward shot. I mean, it looked like maybe he was trying to chip Ramsdale. It was a mess. It was a complete mess, and fair play to Arsenal, got themselves back in the game. I think after the 20-minute mark, really they were on top in every part of the game. Arsenal, they were dominating. I think Odegaard and Saka, for the most part, were the most influential players on the pitch. I'll get in and talk about Havertz in a bit, but I think those two players specifically were sort of pulling all the strings in the first half. Trossard, a lot of us were begging for him to start. I think deservedly so. He got his start, but it really wasn't working. I called for the substitution at halftime. I figured, if anyone was going to come off to fix this, obviously we were just on the precipice of you know, tying the game up, making it 1-1, but there was just something missing. Trossard seemed a little bit off. Some of the 1-2 quick touch, quick pass, and even just his regular touch on the ball seemed off. A bit heavy at times and couldn't quite link up with people around him. And, when he came off, I wasn't too upset about it. I figured Nketiah would come on for him. Jesus, maybe, if you put him on, you're forcing him to play 45 minutes, which I don't think he was ready, despite Arteta's press conference seemed certainly confident of him, confident enough to have him on the bench certainly, but not to play 45 minutes. So Nketiah really growing on a lot of fans, I think, did a really good job. He's so clever the way he can move in tight spaces. Such a strong player as well. Loves to turn, ask for the ball to feet, and it was a perfect game for him. And he showed his worth, scored the goal that put us in front, even if for just a little bit. But Trossard very much not himself in that game, and you have to give credit to Fulham, obviously, a pretty I don't want to say defensively sound team. Certainly against us, they were. I think the manager is there. He knew what to do. They came there with a game plan. They executed it very, very well. I think they got pretty lucky to score the first goal and go ahead that early. But luck is all about seizing an opportunity when it arrives, and they certainly did that much. Watching that Man City game today, I was in the shower actually just listening to it. Erling Haaland, I heard the penalty to Man City, and I just figured, okay, obviously they're going to go up here 1-0. He missed it. Credit to Sheffield, the way they played for the rest of the game. Obviously they went down, scored a goal. It ended. Man City ended up winning the game, and that's just what they do. And when you think about Arsenal being in a title race, you can't be dropping points at home to, and this is no disrespect to Fulham or any teams like Bournemouth, Fulham, Forest, these sort of teams that are they know they're safe. Maybe they're fighting for relegation at some point, but mid-table clubs and especially at home. I mean, they had a red card. It just, you don't see Man City do things like that. It's very, very rare that they will drop points at home, and regardless of Arsenal doing that, if you want to win the league, you have to at least beat this Manchester City team, which they have failed to do in the last 6 seasons in the Premier League. I think most of those seasons, City have taken 6 points off of Arsenal. And it just, when you watch a game like that yesterday, it really, really deflates this idea of Arsenal pushing for the Premier League title this year. Last year, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. You wouldn't have put their name up there as potential champions. Top of the table in November. October came around. December still top. January still top of the table, and then people started. You had to discuss at that point, could they be champions? Obviously at the end they bottled it. We bottled the league, and it's frustrating to see a game like that, how it played out yesterday. everyone has said the same thing. Could have scored 5 goals, should have scored. Every shot seemed to be right at Leno. Comfortable saves. Obviously Leno's a great goalkeeper, but prone to errors, and I don't think we put him under enough pressure. Speaking of goalkeepers, I thought Ramsdale could have done better. I don't know what happened with the first goal. It was such an awkward hit. It just seemed wrong-footed, even wrong-footed for the second goal. Not his. He shouldn't have that much space in the box, Paulinho, but he just seems to always take one step too many to set himself in goal at times. And fair play. He stopped that shot from Traore, and within the last minute of the game or so. But there's probably one person on that team you wanted running at you. I mean, he has speed, but certainly not the best finisher. But it's just, is Mikel Arteta doing too much to try and accommodate Havertz and fit him into this side in the same role that Granit Xhaka had? And people can say what they want about Granit. I think he probably won almost everybody over last season with his performances. You had this Granit Xhaka, Odegaard, Thomas Partey midfield that were, stars, just shining. Every single game they played, we looked, fantastic for the most part. Obviously not every game, but it was, you have those three players. They're some of your most important players on that pitch. Xhaka doing the dirty work, getting forward, coming back. Havertz does the dirty work. We've seen the first 2 games, most distance covered, most duels won, but he's just, there's something missing without Granit Xhaka in this team. I think I used to get laughed at for this. There's a quote about, his parents used to give him the keys to the house even though he had an older brother, and people couldn't even make sense of that. I know it's Twitter and people use half a brain on there anyway, but to me it was obviously clear. I mean, he's a born leader, this guy. And what I think this team is missing the most about, just Xhaka missing it in general is, his leadership. His ability to call players out. He's holding players, he's holding them accountable. These players, if they make a mistake, if he makes a mistake, he'll hold himself accountable. Despite everything that went on in his Arsenal career, Granit Xhaka was the first one to probably be telling someone what they shouldn't be doing or don't do that. Here's what they should be doing. Hold people accountable. And Odegaard, obviously great captain. He'll yell at a player if he needs to, but just we're missing this. We lost one of the best leaders in this team, and we replaced him with a player we're having to accommodate to by pushing. I don't know if this is true. Everyone thinks this because I don't know what else to think. Thomas Partey is being forced to play right back in order to have this role in Havertz. Obviously, Rice has to start every game. He's fantastic. He has to play. But why not put him alongside Thomas Partey? We've seen Rice get ahead a couple times already. Let Thomas Partey get ahead. Let him take a shot from outside the 18-yard box. Something like that. Give Odegaard more for. Something has to be done other than pushing him to right back, because Ben White, another name that I think he is a 100% starter. One of the first names on that team sheet, I think. And he's being, he's done great at center back, don't get me wrong, but he's fantastic as a right back. He gives Saka so much opportunity with his overlaps. Brilliant passer, very good defender. Thomas Partey against Man United, say what you want about Sancho, but Sancho against Thomas Partey is not something I would like to see. Even Garnacho. I mean, Garnacho's a brilliant player as well. Quick, very, very quick with the ball at his feet. I don't want Thomas Partey defending against either of those players. Rashford, whoever it may be, it's not going to be good. I think you have to have Ben White. You have to stop this. I'm saying the same thing everybody else is saying, right? But you have to stop this experimenting. Just put Partey, I almost said Xhaka, Odegaard, and Declan Rice in that midfield. I know it's hard to probably bench a player like Kai Havertz. You spent all this money on him. You want to keep giving him these chances. But what about Smith Rowe? Has he played a single minute this game? Even Fabio Vieira coming on, and don't get me wrong, Vieira changed the entire game. Fantastic player, Fabio Vieira. Always rated him. You have to give players like that a chance. Now he's in his third year here, just coming into his own. Very, very smart, great passer on the ball. It was just a couple years ago that Jamie Carragher was calling Emile Smith-Rowe the best player with the ball at his feet in the Premier League, or maybe it was the quickest player, excuse me. And we haven't seen a wink of him. I mean, people calling for backup for Bukayo Saka, and it's like, if you bring in one more wide player, when is Smith Rowe ever going to get minutes? Maybe he's being saved by Arteta for some, the games are going to come quick and fast. Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League. You got 4 competitions, so you need a squad with enough depth to challenge for these competitions. But I just, Emil Smith Rowe can play that number 8 role. He may not be as sound defensively as Granit Xhaka, but neither is Kai Havertz. There's a couple times there where it's just the simple things he's not doing right. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is with Kai Havertz, but I think you need to just let him come off the bench. Same with Trossard. We saw it wasn't the same. The impact he has off the bench, maybe it's because he's coming up against tired legs. Maybe it's the game plan in the 70th minute when he's substituted. Something about Trossard coming off the bench works better than when he starts most of the time, right? Most of the time. And it could be the same case for Kai Havertz. Now, I had a whole bunch of tweets during that game about how he's doing the dirty work and this and that, and Arteta wants him. And all of that is true. But when you're forcing one of our best midfielders to go and play right back, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. The experimenting, we won the first 2 games, but it's not worth the heartache anymore of forcing him to go in that position to accommodate to Kai Havertz. I think you have to play Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and Odegaard in the midfield. It's got to be Martinelli, probably Eddie Nketiah against United, although Jesus looked at as his old self when he came on, so that's totally up. Either one of those players I would be happy starting. Nketiah loves the game against Man United, obviously, and of course Bukayo Saka on the right side. And just, if you're going to play someone at right back that isn't Ben White, just let Tomiyasu play there. I would love Tomiyasu defending against Rashford, Garnacho, any one of those players. I'm way more confident. Everyone would be more confident at him at right back over Thomas Partey. And you know why? Because he's not a right back, man. The whole inverted thing, let Zinchenko do it, okay? Let Zinchenko do the inverted thing, and this other, Gabriel can't start a game. There's rumors about his future. Arteta is never going to reveal anything about any player. Now, Fabrizio Romano has come out and said they wouldn't even accept 170 million for him, which, very reliable guy, Romano. You would hope that's true, because to me, you cannot replace a center back like Gabriel in the market for anything less than 80, 100. I can't name a center back that I would prefer over Gabriel. And so something has to change. The changes that have been made are not working. Clearly, they don't work enough. Yes, they got us 6 points in the first 2 games, but things look really bad when you're dropping points at home when you're making changes like this Thomas Partey at right back. So that was a bit of a ramble. I apologize if anyone has made it through this much of the video. I do really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to end it there. Man United are next. It's going to be a really, really big game. It could, set us up for a strong run of games, or it could completely derail us. Confidence goes a long way. I think a lot of the fans. It seems like you have a lot of fans. Sort of crawling out of the woodworks now with such a successful season last year. The atmosphere, I have to say, wasn't as it didn't feel like the 12th man on Saturday. Obviously the weather wasn't great, people getting rained on and all that, so I think it's probably fair to put a little bit of that crowd frustration up to that. But I've seen a lot of toxic behavior, a lot of people just flat out blaming Kai Havertz for you can't put the blame on one person. I didn't see anyone really blaming Bukayo Saka for the pass. I thought he was, again, one of the brightest players that we had on the pitch that day. But it's hard to take people's opinions seriously when you haven't heard anything about him in 2 years, and then they come out with all this negativity, especially the agenda on Kai Havertz. You have to keep in mind, a very young player, still younger than Ramsdale, Odegaard, Rice. So plenty of growing to do for Kai Havertz. It's obvious Arteta sees something in him, but he has to start getting comfortable. He doesn't need to adapt to the Premier League anymore. How long was he at Chelsea? 3 years. Never quite the shining star that everyone expected him to be, that he was at Leverkusen. So, hopefully, we can go on and get a result against United. It would be a big statement to do that. United, just getting away the skin of their teeth with that game they played on Saturday. And both teams are going to be, everyone's always up for it. You can be sure of that, and it's going to be a very very important test for this Arsenal team to get 3 points against United, and I think they can do it. But look, I don't want to see Thomas Partey at right back. I don't want to see Kai Havertz in the starting 11. I don't want to see Trossard in the starting 11. I think you need to play your best starting 11, which means Zinchenko at left back, Gabriel, Saliba, Benjamin White are your back four. Rice, Partey, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, and whether it's Gabriel Jesus or Eddie Nketiah, it doesn't matter to me. Either one of them, I'm sure, will be up for it. They do very similar jobs. Hopefully they can go on and get that. So this is a long one. I shouldn't have made this video this long, but I do really appreciate it. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you when I see you.